Alright guys, this is Nick and
Sarud
coming at you again from NXT LVL Jiu-Jitsu. We had a big weekend this past weekend.
a lot of good fights.
UFC event. Kron Gracie lost to Cub Swanson.
Yeah, that was the co-main event on that fight card. Man, that was a rough one. I had a lot of expectations coming out of Kron Gracie just because of, his legacy and who his father is, and, me being a very big proponent of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty good fight. They both took a lot of damage. There's a lot of back and forth, striking wise. One thing I really disliked is Kron Gracie kept trying to pull guard in an MMA fight. I mean,
yeah, I think it's a little desperate. It came off as like a little desperate. I think,
even the way he pulled guard, it wasn't like he was pulling Cub down and then pulling guard. No, he would jump on him, wrap his legs around him while the other dude's still standing. So it was very weird.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week that kind of in order for Kron to win, he's got to get this thing to the ground. If it stays standing, it's probably not going to go well for him. I think he definitely needs to, just like you mentioned, he probably needs to step up his striking. I think for sure he needs to step up his striking. He needs to be able to work on that transition between punching and getting the takedown. Because if somebody just knows that takedown is coming, they're going to be able to defend it. And that's kind of what we saw. If you know all Kron Gracie wants to do is get to the ground,
you're going to defend the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And I think every time it tried to go down to the ground, Cub would stand up, and then Kron would stand up again, and they would, go with this back and forth again. And I don't know. I think maybe Kron was a little nervous about the fight because there was a lot of expectation coming out of it.
Yeah,
Hickson was actually there.
It's interesting. We're talking about maybe he needs to learn to strike more, but maybe it's actually the opposite. Maybe he just needs to focus 100% on the takedown, abandon striking with people at all, kind of the way Damian Maia does. He doesn't strike with anybody. He tries to take you down. If he can't, he just tries again and again and again until he gets it.
Definitely no guard pulls. No guard pulls.
No jumping guard.
And another thing I wanted to mention that I noticed was, because Kron Gracie and Nate Diaz trained together. They're good friends. So one thing I noticed was Kron picked up a lot of the Nate Diaz style of fighting, where he just keeps coming at you. Doesn't matter what you try to do, he just keeps coming at you. He took a lot of body shots, a lot. It was ridiculous. But I heard this other thing where they said that his breathing techniques, because you've seen it, his father does it.
Yeah. That
the way he learned, he knows how to breathe. So when he sees those shots coming and he exhales, it didn't affect him. So you'd see him, it was crazy body shots, but nothing on his face. Literally no change on his face. He just kept coming at you, kept punching. I totally agree with the decision. Totally went for Cub. It was a good fight. It was an interesting fight to watch. I was just disappointed in the fact that there was no grappling.
Yeah, I think it's just Kron is still green to MMA. Yeah. He's still also young. Still think he has a bright future ahead of him. He's gonna need some more experience here.
He's 5-1 now, so no longer undefeated.
Yep. We also had Joanna versus Michelle Watterson. Pretty dominant decision. I think she won 50-45, so won every round.
Yep.
And just like we talked about last week, we knew Joanna had a little more oomph in her punches, a little more power there. But the combos she was throwing were just pretty relentless. It was kind of just punches to kicks, back to punches to. It was just this relentless onslaught.
What I want to say is that props to Michelle Watterson, man. She took a crazy beating. Yeah. And at the end of each round, you could see in her face she's smiling. she's smiling with her bloody face, like props to that. If it was like other fighters with the beating that they took, man, I don't know how they make the entire 5 rounds. It was a really good fight. It was very bloody. It was very violent. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's kind of tough for Watterson. I know she really wanted to be mom champ, and this was kind of the fight that whoever won this was going to get the next shot.
Yeah.
So this probably does set her back at least a couple more fights. I don't think she can win one more and come right back. She's probably got to win at least 2 more, maybe even 3 more before she gets another shot. She does seem to kind of be hitting a little bit of a wall when she hits that really elite level. Like when she gets to the top 5, those top 5 keep kind of taking her out.
Yeah. What did you think of Joanna's foot?
Yeah, I mean, originally I thought it was broken.
Yeah,
She thought it was broken. I took her word for it.
Yeah.
And then on MMA Underground,
I
started. She said it wasn't broken.
Yeah, I started to doubt it when in the after show with when they were interviewing the fighter, she actually went up there. She had like a crutch on her, but I was like, dude, if your foot is broken, I don't think you'd be up there giving an interview, right?
Walking on it.
Yeah, walking and giving an interview just because, like, dude, if a foot is broken, the amount of pain is unbelievable. But I've seen the pictures of the foot. I saw it on the fight that day, how it was like green and blue and swollen. It did look like it was, but even if it wasn't, I mean, props to her winning the fight with a foot that looked like that.
Yeah, it's still really swollen. So,
yeah.
But at least, she did confirm it's not broken, so
That's good, though.
we can expect a relatively quick turnaround for her to get back in the gym, start training, get ready for a title fight. And this weekend, coming up,
Oh, yeah.
we got Yair Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stevens.
Man, I'm excited.
The
for that.
rematch.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to call the first fight much of anything, because like 15 seconds in,
something
and
like
the
that.
fight was over. But the rematch, what do you think? I know there's a lot of bad blood here.
I know. I'm so excited for it because, like, I remember watching the first fight and I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. They're both, very creative fighters. I don't know if you've seen that Yair Rodriguez when he fought the Korean Zombie and he gave him that out of nowhere elbow, and it was like one of the greatest knockouts in UFC. Because it was like out of nowhere. It was just like he ducked down and then raised his elbow to the back. The dude got knocked out.
Yeah, I remember when I originally was watching that fight. I was like confused to what had happened.
It's like what just happened?
I was like, wait. I actually originally thought it was like a headbutt or something. I was like, oh, is this a headbutt knockout? And then when they like zoomed in and he did I was like, what?
Yeah.
The hell is that?
And so I was very excited about it, but then, the bell rang. I don't even know if they touched gloves. They went at each other, and then boom, Yair poked Jeremy in the eye. And at first I thought, okay, yeah, maybe the doctor's gonna come and check it, but he couldn't open his eye, and he's not one to back down the whole fight.
Yeah.
Yair
kind of accused him of that, like, oh, you're overplaying this after the fight, but it was like, come on, everybody knows Jeremy Stevens, like, he's
a legit fighter.
Yeah.
There's no way he was faking that, and like, it's like, don't complain about it if you're the one that went ahead and just friggin' poked him in the eye like that. Like, I don't want to say it's intentional, but it looked like it could have been avoided.
Yeah,
Don't
and
say that much.
obviously after that, the crowd went nuts. The heckling started. They were throwing stuff.
That was
I mean, there was like security kind of surrounding them just to get out of the stadium. I mean, people kind of lost it.
I don't remember like in modern times if that's happened in the UFC where people were throwing bottles inside of the octagon.
No, that's more of like an old school WCW thing.
Yeah.
NWO. Yeah, you don't really see that anymore. Most of the time, even though every UFC event I've been to, I think almost every single one there was like a fight in the stands at least somewhere.
It's not somewhere. Yeah, people get riled up, man.
But in general, like the whole crowd doesn't lose it. It seemed like the entire crowd lost their minds.
Because they were there. So it was in Mexico, and everybody was there wanting behind Yair because of his his background, and I don't know. It was just crazy. But then, did you see the video at the hotel afterwards? fights.
Oh yeah, so obviously there's bad blood here. So that's the thing is like there's really nothing to go off of from the first fight. So it's like it's a rematch, but there's nothing to go off of.
Yeah.
So it's really as if they're just having this fight for the first time.
Yeah, it's probably the rematch to that whatever happened at the hotel. That was the actual fight.
Exactly. That's right. That was the real war. It's the rematch to the Marriott Throwdown or whatever hotel they were staying in.
Marriott Throwdown. Yeah, I like that. That's what we should label it.
But yeah, we got some other interesting news that's been coming up here. We've got the potential. The talk has started at least between Anthony Johnson and John Jones.
Oh yeah.
And John Jones had mentioned this before that he was actually glad that Anthony Johnson had retired before he came back. So he was glad that he was just never going to have to fight that guy. Obviously, at 205, Anthony Johnson just went on an absolute tear and pretty much destroyed everybody except DC, who beat him twice. Both were pretty similar fights. He lost in similar fashion, but obviously his style is very different than John Jones. Anthony Johnson is currently gigantic. I don't know if you saw him.
I haven't seen him.
Looks like a bodybuilder right now. He looks huge, so he's definitely going to have to cut some weight. But what do you think of this potential matchup?
Are they talking about a fight at light heavy or?
Yeah, they're talking about 205. Anthony Johnson is saying that he's.
What's he at right now?
Well, he was saying he wanted to cut to 235, so I have no idea. So I don't know what he was at. His last picture, he looked like he was like 250 pounds. He looked huge. Like I said, he's got like a bodybuilder kind of thing, but he's definitely, he's gigantic. So he's going to have to drop some serious weight.
To make this fight happen. Yeah, that'll be a very exciting fight. I doubt that it's going to be Jones' next fight. I don't think that'll be his next fight. I think, I don't know, man. Who's he going to fight next? He's like, he's running that whole weight division.
Yeah, I think that they're always in a situation with John Jones where it's like, who do you put him up against that doesn't just seem like some tomato can that you're sacrificing to him?
I'd be very, very excited to see him go up a weight class and face Stipe for the belt.
Yeah, well, going against Anthony Johnson, you're practically going up a weight class.
Yeah, that's true.
That guy would probably struggle to make the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
In his
what is
current
it?
state.
265? Is that the limit? Yeah, for heavyweight.
So obviously I do hope that fight happens. I think John Jones is definitely the more technical of the two, but Anthony Johnson just has that raw, like explosive power, just that crazy knockout ability.
Yeah, man.
And then there's also the GSP Khabib talk that has started. Finally something interesting for Khabib.
Yeah.
Like GSP had kind of officially come out, what was it, just a few weeks ago, it was like, I'm retired, no more, blah, blah, blah. And now all of a sudden he was saying, if the contract is right.
Well, that would be a big money fight for the UFC.
Oh yeah, this would be huge.
Yeah, tell me a person that doesn't like GSP, right? I mean, he's one of the most likable UFC. Yeah, there you go. That's a different story. But I mean, from the fans, right? GSP is one of the most likable UFC contenders or UFC fighters, and then you have Khabib's fans, like die-hard Khabib fans.
Yeah.
All
of Russia, and then every single wrestler.
Yeah. And this would definitely be a big money fight for the UFC. But I can tell you, if that fight happens before the fight that's in my mind right now, then I'd be very disappointed. And that's the Tony Ferguson fight. That's something that people have been begging for 2 years now, 2 or 3 years. I know they had it scheduled before, and then it didn't end up happening. And so that is a fight I want to see, because I do believe that if there is somebody out there that's even close to beating Khabib, it will be Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, I think I'd be excited to see that fight too, especially with GSP just kind of being sidelined right now.
Yeah.
But I think GSP, he keeps talking about it, that the only thing he has left to fight for, the only reason he would fight is for his legacy. And in general, he's considered, at least in the top 3 greatest fighters of all time. if not in the top 2, with a lot of people saying John Jones is number 1 and GSP is number 2. But then you do have some people that would argue that GSP is number 1.
Yeah.
If he can come out of retirement, beat Khabib, then he's the number 1.
Yeah.
He is the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
In my mind right now, John Jones is the man, and I would put GSP in the number 2 spot.
Yeah.
But if he can come out of retirement, if he can match up against Khabib and win, which right now kind of seems like a crazy idea because Khabib just destroys everybody. Yeah. But, I mean, GSP is kind of famous for just outthinking his opponents.
Yeah. He's a very smart fighter. And,
yeah.
You know, he trains under, for us, a hobby, so.
Yeah.
You know, that whole gym and all the fighters out there, very smart grapplers, that would be a good fight to watch.
Yeah, Faraz is definitely one of those guys, kind of like similar to Greg Jackson, that he figures opponents out.
Yeah.
He figures out how to beat them. He doesn't run a camp of let's just make you better at jiu-jitsu and let's make you better at wrestling.
No.
He game plans very specifically for who they're fighting, and he's very good at kind of like figuring out the puzzle.
Yeah. Have you seen, as just out of a side story, like we've all seen that video of Khabib fighting that bear when he was a kid. But now this new video that came out of Khabib swimming upstream in a frozen river in Russia. I don't know if you've seen that video.
I have not seen it.
It was literally like the water was coming down and you see him and it looked like it was really cold out there.
I think all of Russia.
Yeah, and he was just, fighting the water and just swimming upstream. And I was like, dude, is this guy just like a monster? What is he?
And so we got some good jiu-jitsu fights coming up this weekend too. We got Nick Rodriguez versus Kenan Duarte.
Yeah, it's pretty good fights coming up. He'll be fighting now as a purple belt.
Oh yeah,
I'm
expecting a whole new level from this guy. Now that he's in purple belt, no more of those blue belt techniques like Rodriguez.
As a purple belt, you're always labeled as an experienced jiu-jitsu fighter. That's when it really matters.
I hope that's true.
Yeah, I know. Let's see if he brings that to the table. I know. Although he did lose a fight a couple of weeks ago, it was a wrestling match though. He went against, I believe, Pat Downey. He's an All-American wrestler.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think that was like a straight wrestling match.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any, no shame in losing that match.
No shame.
That guy's completely dedicated to wrestling. You expect somebody who's dedicating to do better.
This kind of goes back to our point that we had mentioned on the last episode where we said that all the wrestlers are about to come out. And so that's
agree.
Yeah, that kind of confirms that belief that now the wrestlers want to show up and show what they have.
Yeah, I mean wrestlers have always had like a good showing in MMA, UFC, obviously with DC, with Yoel Romero, like he was on the Cuban Olympic team. But I think there's so many of those grapplers out there that are just looking for a home, and I think they're gonna find it in MMA. They're gonna find it in jiu-jitsu. They're gonna make these transitions.
I think it's always hard for wrestlers to begin jiu-jitsu. It's so hard to transfer from being a person that's always on top to becoming like a person that gets into guard all the time. Or, actually tries to go for submissions. That's the big problem for wrestlers. They're always like scrambling. They're always trying to pin you down. They kind of forget that the main reason behind jiu-jitsu is to try to get somebody to tap.
That's true. They do normally have that mentality of just outworking you, wearing you down, and not necessarily going for the finish.
Yep.
Yeah. But speaking about going for the finish, this weekend we also got Gordon Ryan versus Muhammad Ali. I mean, Gordon Ryan is a guy who's always going for the finish and usually
we both know how that fight's gonna end up.
I want to give Ali all the
King Gordon.
I want to give Ali all the credit in the world.
Yeah, he's.
Make no mistake about it. Muhammad Ali is a phenom. He would clean house in any jiu-jitsu gym in the country, except Renzo Gracie's gym when he ran into Gordon Ryan.
Yeah.
I think Gordon Ryan is I just think it's going to take some more time for people to figure him out.
Yeah.
Uh,
I remember hearing something about him wanting to, start doing MMA, but I don't know if that went anywhere.
he has talked about that. He is training for MMA right now, but to him it is his secondary thing. He is really focused on just pushing his grappling to a new level. I mean, it's already the best in the world,
Yeah.
so whatever new level that's going to be is frightening for everybody else. Hopefully everybody else can keep up, but really it's more everybody else catching up than keeping up.
Yeah. Because, there's another person on that team, the Renzo Gracie team that did go into MMA, Gary Tonin.
Yeah.
I think he's 2-0 in MMA right now, and I think they're both were submissions. Most likely leg locks, I'm not sure, but probably.
Well, those guys are also, they're great in general. They're great at taking the back. They're great at leg locks.
That should be a good matchup. If Muhammad Ali ends up beating Gordon Ryan in some, parallel universe or whatever, then
I think
that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, it'd be unexpected, but it actually would be kind of cool just to see if somebody can figure out the puzzle of Gordon Ryan. Can somebody figure out this is kind of the way to beat this guy?
Speaking about BJJ, there's a this is very cool. I wanted to give a shout out to Google as a company as a whole. They're offering BJJ classes for their employees, which I thought was amazing. We have it's Professor Milton Bastos. He's a BJJ black belt out of San Diego, California. San Jose, California, and he's been going out there teaching some of the employees take out their frustrations on the mat, which is awesome. I do wish every single company in America did that, because first you're learning self-defense, you're learning discipline. Jiu-Jitsu, man, gives you everything.
Yeah, you and I talk about this sometimes when we see, just people whose like everyday life is kind of undisciplined. We're like, man, that guy needs jiu-jitsu. His dude needs jiu-jitsu, and it's like you said, it's not just that like self-defense you can fight thing. It's the bringing discipline to your life and some structure to your life, some motivation.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Jiu-Jitsu, it's changed my life forever. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we let everybody go here, I just wanted to mention this one thing. Unfortunately, we had in the MMA world, we talk about all the different types of martial arts, including boxing. And unfortunately, I think yesterday we lost one fighter, a boxer, Patrick Day. He suffered some traumatic brain injuries, and unfortunately he passed away. So our condolences goes out to his family, and know that the MMA world is thinking and praying for you guys.
Yeah, man.
And this is unfortunately this is the second time that happened this year. Maxim, I believe his name, a couple months ago as well, suffered some brain injuries and died after being knocked out in boxing. So.
Yeah, it's dangerous sport for sure.
Yeah.
Guys, click like, click subscribe. We're going to be coming at you regularly every week with new content. Now get out of here, scram, beat it. See you later.